Welcome to my library, dear guest. My name is Cole, and I will be your storyteller. Today, we will be looking at 3 medium-length stories. From boss babes to just regular old homophobia. Some things never change. Let us begin. Story number 1. An MLM scammer joined my D&D campaign and left when we started complaining about scammers. By the author, Eagle Soaring. So this is a post about something that happened yesterday. A new player I will name Scammer joined my Sunday campaign and seemed like a decent player, and took to character creation pretty quickly. Talked to Scammer for a bit in voice chat and they seemed pretty alright. Oftentimes, a few of us players gather in the voice chat a bit before the game time, to hang out and chat. One of the longtime players I will name Ace joined the call and opened conversation with, I hate people. People suck. He then goes into detail about how someone he met on Grindr, who seemed really cool and genuine, ended up being a scammer, and they tried to scam Ace out of a bunch of money. Me and Ace then started talking about how shitty of a person you have to be to willingly scam people. This is when Scammer PMs me asking if Ace is in the game. When I tell him he's a longtime player, Scammer says he's gonna leave the game as Ace is, quote, too whiny. I tell him that we're just chatting and that Ace is a longtime player and is able to easily not let that stuff enter the table. Scammer says that he disagrees with Ace and that drama wouldn't help anything, and he leaves. I was confused as to what he could possibly disagree with Ace over. That he was gay? That he didn't like scammers? And that's when I notice it. This campaign was a pay-to-play campaign, so players have to give me their emails for PayPal invoices. And while I'm obviously not going to expose his email, the individual/company I had sent the game fee to on PayPal was listed as YL Essential Oils. Young Living Essential Oils. It was a multi-level marketing scam with numerous lawsuits and safety violations and FDA reports. Ace had scared off a scammer and possibly a homophobe by complaining about his love life, so bullet dodged. Added to the people complaining about how dare I run a pay-to-play campaign, yes, there are people who are willing to pay DMs for their hours of work running and creating engaging content for groups of players on a weekly basis. Cry about it. The kind of delusional you must be to think that someone complaining about scammers is them being whiny means you're in way too deep. Little fun note, a girl I had a crush on in around middle to high school is now shilling an MLM, with the typical travel photos and inspirational quotes on her Insta saying, "Hey, you want that? You want to work from home and be your own boss? It's super easy. Just deposit this much money here." And, it's really sad to see. But let us move on. Story number 2. Homophobic DMing. By the author, MiniGiant2709. This happened to me a few days ago. It has taken me a couple days to process it. The game is Pathfinder 1st Edition. I have, for the longest time, loved the elemental races. Genasi to you 5e readers here. Undyne, Ifrit, Oriad, and Sylph. There's something very magical about them. The alternative heritages are a great addition to the game, and you can really let your creativity go with it. One of the things I love doing with them is reimagining their appearances. I played an Aureate/Earth once, who wasn't dusty but instead chiseled polished green granite and gemstones for nails and hair. Another idea that I have been holding on to for a long time is reflavoring the Sun Soul Ifrit, Fire. Me thinking myself clever thought, what if their appearance was that of the cosmos or nebulae? After all, suns are stars. That sounds awesome to me. And I pictured it even better when I decided that they would be a Tsukio, moon god cleric. A few days ago, I had an opportunity to finally play this character in a one-shot, with a DM who an acquaintance had told me was looking to run a few games to dust off the cobwebs before launching a longer-term campaign. I made it clear I wasn't looking for a new regular game, as I'm happy with the ones I'm already in. Nobody seemed to mind, and I was invited along anyway. The game and the world we were in was briefly described, thinking Aztec/Mayan feel, and then we got to introduce our characters. People introduced their characters one by one, a mixture of awkward newbies, casual gamers, and another experienced veteran. It got to me, and I described my Ifrit character. Before you stands a slender 6-foot-tall man, with smooth dark skin, with waves of pink and green hues flowing across his body, intermitted with flecks of gold and silver that looked like stars dotted across his face and body, and dressed in fine black silk with elegant gold thread embroidered along the edges. I planned my description ahead of time. I am not usually that descriptive. This description was met with an immediate response. Ha! Gay! Now, it did immediately feel out of place, but I was the last one to describe their character, and I'm a big community fan, so I brushed it off. In hindsight, this was the first red flag, and I should have walked away. This game got underway with the other veteran helping the green player along. Our casual player was playing a monk, so I was buffing them predominantly over the rest of the table. The adventuring day came and went. We were all nearly spent, and I used my last couple of spells to heal major damage. Then, to RP my channel positive energy, I asked my fellow characters to gather around the campfire, hold hands, look up into the night sky, and share in my prayer to my deity. As our characters are going to bed, the monk stays up for the first watch. From this moment onwards, the words spoken may not be word for word accurate. The DM then says, "Roll me a will save. 5e wisdom save." And I am thinking, here we go. We are being ambushed in the jungle. In hindsight, again, I wish we were. The roll was high, so it was safe to say whatever targeted him, he saved. You resist LP's advances and the urge to join them in their tent. I asked for clarifications, as that was clearly not a spell save, to which the response was along the lines of, "You have been hitting on him all day, and it is clear that your character is in drag, and anyone in drag wants to be treated like a girl." At this point, the other veteran's attention has turned from helping the new player to whatever we had just fallen into. And the casual player was a bit like me. What the fuck? After the initial shock, I laid out my expectations for the game, including player agency. It was not appropriate to try and take control of another player's character without prior warning. And secondly, rape is never allowed at the table. The GM is now clearly flustered, as we are all out of character right now and focusing solely on him. The new player was exceedingly quiet, and I really hope the experience did not scar him from trying to play again in the future. At no point did anyone raise their voices. In his panic, the GM starts mumbling and saying how we have ruined the game, and nobody is allowed to have any fun anymore, all the while packing his stuff up. You ruined the game? Nobody is allowed to have fun anymore? If that is your definition of fun, that sounds like a you problem. I cannot even begin to unpack all of that, even though it's rather short. So, first up, Genasi is super cool, I agree. I've got a friend who's now made Genasi of every kind, I believe, and has added such amazing cool flavor to them, it's made me want to play them again too. They're awesome. And your description of them sounds amazing to me as well. Now to the other stuff. How is he clearly gay? Because he had pink in his color scheme? You know that colors don't have gender, right? You're calling Vegeta gay for wearing that pink shirt? Or usually running around in a spandex? I doubt it. Was it the fact that he seems to have had a genuinely great sense of fashion? That's not a gay exclusive thing either. And the you resist OP's advances? What advances? What would have happened with a lower roll? It's always disgusting to me when DMs have the players make a roll to resist flirting, which in this case didn't even take place. And if they don't succeed with it, then, well, you're out of luck, I guess. Your character now has to have sex with that other character. It's wrong on so many levels. But we have spoken on this before, and I think the author summed it up really well too, as just, taking away player agency. So let's leave it there. It's for the best the DM just quit then and there, really. Story number 3. DM accuses me of lying about being gay to hook up with women. By the user, Starseeker Fox. Heyo, first time posting here, but long time listener to horror story readers like D&D Doge, Crow's Perch, Crispy's Tavern, Crit Crab, and Den of the Drake. I apologize in advance if this isn't written all that well. This occurred last month when I was attempting to see if I could find any local D&D 5e games to play in after a friend's campaign fell through. I was checking out one of the local gaming stores and they had a board posted up where people could advertise their games. One immediately caught my attention for a campaign set in Critical Role's Exandria, and even advertised about being LGBTQ+ friendly, and only asked to ping the DM on Discord to be interviewed before being allowed to join the game. I did so, and an interview was scheduled almost immediately for that night, as the DM said they were ecstatic to finally be getting another player to join. I already had a character concept I was excited to try out. A Way of Mercy monk who works as an alchemist and follows the Raven Queen. The interview came, and I hopped into a Discord call with the DM after sharing the concept with them, and things started to turn bad after just saying hello and thanking them for their time. Their tone immediately went neutral, and the first thing they asked is if I was trans or NB. I told them I wasn't, and they almost immediately dropped the call. I messaged to ask if something was wrong, and the DM says that their table has no place for men pretending to play to get into women's pants, wanting to keep their table safe. I let them know that I was gay and have no interest in trying to hook up with anyone through the game. But they ignore me and further accuse me of lying just to try and weasel my way in. I tried to point out to the DM that their advertisement at the store said their group was LGBTQ+ friendly, but they just swiftly blocked me and everything just ended there. While it all still baffles and saddens me, I can only guess that maybe the DM ran into this issue before, which I can understand if they would be more cautious during interviews. But outright blowing up on someone is a bit uncalled for. Edit. As a few people have asked or brought it up, I couldn't really tell which gender the DM could have been presenting as the Discord call was too short. And being safe, I normally always use they/them pronouns for people I do not know until corrected. Edit 2. Bit of an update. I went back to the local game store today since I play the Digimon TCG with other friends. The ad for their game was no longer on the board, and I spoke with the owner to let him know about my experience from that ad and to let him know a bunch of people were concerned after I share what happened. He will keep an eye out as he agrees something isn't right, and he also doesn't want that kind of negativity being associated with his store at all. Final edit. I wanted to avoid giving this information to not give away where I may live, but to add context, I live in the southern US, more specifically Texas. Finding an LGBTQ+ friendly game for me is a must where I live. As most have noted, this is to avoid homophobia and be free to be who I am, and to play who I want to play. And as someone brought it up, my local game store has an advertisement board because not everyone uses local Facebook groups to find or advertise games. Thank you for all the comments, upvotes, and kind words. I wish you all the best. Not that it matters what gender the DM really is, they were being an idiot and, ironically enough, a bigot. How do you run an LGBTQ-friendly group while blowing up someone who is gay? The author here was still being so nice to them and giving them the benefit of the doubt too. I hope you find a group to play with and don't let this sour your view of the hobby as a whole. Good luck to you. With all the stories told, let us move on to the next segment. The Exhibition Journal, where I display the fan art you make for this channel. Today's fan art by our beloved Bear Bars depicts me in my true form. You may not know this, but I applied for the role of Armstrong in the live-action Full Metal Alchemist movie. Well, thank God I didn't make the cut, huh? If you want to know how I attained this peak physical form, well, every time someone returns a book late, I do one push-up. Thank you, Bear Bard, for today's fan art. His socials are on screen and linked in the description, though I'm sure most of you already have subscribed to him, and if not, do it. Now. In the description, you will also find the link to my Discord, where you can submit your own fan art if you so desire. Or, if you do not have Discord, send it to my email linked in my About section. That is it for today's stories. I hope you enjoyed your stay and that I will see you again soon, for there are always more stories to be shared.